Welcome. Namaste. Welcome back to your basic yoga posture of the week. My name is Jessie, a.k.a. Moonchild Yoga. And over the next several weeks and some of the previous weeks, I have been and will be choosing different specific foundational yoga postures to break down for you. Just to simply get into the pose, how to basically get into the pose, some of the benefits and some of the modifications. And so this week's pose is Week-Virabhadrasana 1, a.k.a. Warrior 1. So this is a very basic foundational yoga posture that helps to strengthen the legs. It helps to tone the core. It also can help to calm the mind and bring more focus and clarity. It's a very fierce posture. Virabhadra was a fierce warrior in the yogic philosophy and mythological tradition. And so this pose is definitely representative of strength and stability and a fierce warrior. So without further ado, we'll get right into the basic stance of the posture. So you're going to step your feet about 2 to 3 feet wide, and whichever side, so it's a two-sided posture, whichever side you're going to come into first, so where your front leg is, those toes are going to actually turn and face the short front edge of your mat. I always start a two-sided posture on the right side. It helps to keep me, especially while I'm teaching or practicing, it helps to keep me focused on which side is which and which side I've already done and which side I need to do. So starting with the right side, you're going to turn those right toes to face towards the short edge of the mat. And then your back foot, so the left foot is going to be at a 45 to 60 degree angle. And then the stance of your feet, you need to be like you are stepping on or standing on railroad tracks. So railroad tracks versus a tightrope, that can help if you have issues with balance. So my left foot is kind of off a little bit to the left, and then my right foot is kind of off a little bit to the right. And then you're going to turn your left shoulder and left hip forward. Inhale, you're going to float your fingertips up towards the sky. Find length in your spine here. Soften down through your shoulders. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend into your right knee. You want to keep your tailbone gently tucked up towards your belly button. Keep your spine long and see if you can keep the torso stacked as directly over the hips as is possible. And then you just simply breathe in to what you feel here. And then to come out of the posture, you're going to lower your fingertips down by your hips, straighten that front leg. So we're basically coming out how we went in. All 10 toes are going to come back to face the long edge of your mat. And then you just simply heel toe your feet back into either a hip distance stance or big toes touching. So coming back to your Tadasana mountain pose position. And so coming into the posture on the other side, since it is a two-sided posture, for directional sake, I am going to actually have my left toes facing the back short edge of the mat, so that way I'm not backwards. But typically you face forward towards the front edge of the mat, depending on what you are practicing in your yoga practice. So you're going to step your feet once again, about 2 to 3 feet wide. And of course, that is different in all of our beautiful bodies. So don't fret if you cannot step your feet super wide. And also, if your legs are longer, you may need to step them even wider, depending on the stance and your own physical body. And then you're going to turn those left toes towards the short edge of the mat. And you're going to turn your back foot, your right foot, at that 45 to 60 degree angle. And then this is when you come into your railroad track stance. So having your feet in, your left foot, your front foot off to the left, and then your right foot off to the right. So having that sort of a stance helps you to be able to square your torso and hips forward. So this is where the hip opening comes in this posture, and that is another wonderful benefit of this posture. And then once again, you're going to inhale and extend your fingertips up towards the sky. Your spine is long. Your torso is stacked directly over your hips. So you don't want to be leaning forward here. And then exhale, you're going to bend into that front knee. So in this stance, you want your your front knee to be stacked over your front ankle. And ideally, you should be able to see that big toe. So once again, all of our beautiful bodies are different. So this may be something, especially if you're brand new to yoga or brand new to this posture, this may be something that you need to work into. And then just simply, maybe even if you feel stable, maybe you even close your eyes down and just breathe in to what you feel here. And then, of course, to come out of the posture, you'll float your fingertips down by your hips, straighten your front leg, turn all 10 toes to face the long edge of the mat, and then just heel toe your feet back in to center. A modification for your Virabhadrasana 1 Warrior 1 posture. If you're having trouble having your back heel touching down to the earth, you can still keep your back foot in that 45 to 60 degree angle and then place something such as a rolled up blanket or a small pillow under that back heel. So that can help take up space between the heel and the earth. And then, of course, you will face your torso. So dragging that left hip and left shoulder forward really squares the torso and the hips forward. And then inhale, float the fingertips up towards the sky. Exhale, bend down into that front knee. So having that padding underneath of that back heel, as I already said, definitely helps to take up space, and it can help you to feel more secure and stable, because having that heel raised up off of the earth can definitely create some instability issues here. So reaching high through the fingertips and closing the eyes down if you prefer, if that is in your practice, and just breathe into what you feel here. And then gently open your eyes. Let your fingertips fall down by your hips. Straighten that front leg. And then releasing your heel from its prop, so from its little blanket or pillow. And then heel toeing your feet back in towards each other, back in towards center, just the same as you came out in the original stance. And just demonstrating this posture from the other side. So this time my left knee is the front knee, and my left knee is stacked over my left ankle, and I have my prop under my right foot. So I'm just demonstrating using the prop on the other side. And so then I'm going to drag my right shoulder, right hip forward, and then inhale, float my fingertips up towards the sky. And then as I exhale, I'm going to sink down even more deeply into my front knee. So once again, you want, whichever side you are doing this posture on, you want to be able to hopefully see the big toe of the corresponding foot. So that just makes sure that your knee is in line, and it makes knee is in line with the ankle, and it creates more stability in the posture. And then reach high through the fingertips. Perhaps you close your eyes and you'll notice the difference in sides if you choose to do that. And then just breathe into what you feel here. Floating your fingertips down by your hips to come out of the posture. Once again, you're going to straighten that front leg. And you're going to turn all 10 toes to face the long edge of the mat, removing that foot that had the prop under it. So removing the foot from the prop. And then heel toeing your feet back in towards center. Another modification for your Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 posture is using blocks, yoga blocks, and a wall. So if you have any knee sensitivity, having the block in between the knee and the wall, and then your foot with your toes pressed up against the wall and resting on that bottom block, is a really great way to help deter any discomfort and or instability in the posture. And then same as before, you're going to spin your torso forward. So the hip of the shoulder, or the hip and the shoulder of the corresponding back leg are going to spin forward. You're going to raise your fingertips up towards the sky. And then also, if you're feeling extra unstable, this is another beautiful way to use the wall as a prop in your Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 posture. And then to come out of the posture, you can use the wall in the same way. So you can straighten that front leg by straightening the front leg and then pressing a hand into the wall, catching the block that's in between the knee and the wall with the other hand, and then stepping that other foot to meet the one from the back leg and coming back into your Tadasana, mountain pose. And same other side. So I'm demonstrating this posture on the other side. What I love about two-sided postures is you will discover differences in your body. So differences in how you are able to come into the posture on different sides. My left side, I'm right-handed, so the right side of my body is dominant. And so generally I have a little more issues with instability and even challenging situations and two-sided postures on my left side as I do my right. So I have the block in between my knee and the wall, and I have my left toes pressed up against the wall, such as on the other side. You got the close-up visual of my right foot and how to put your foot into that stance. And then I'm going to drag my right shoulder, right hip forward, stack my torso over my hips, and then I'm going to inhale, lift my fingertips up towards the sky, and exhale, I'm either going to see if I can bend more deeply into that front knee, and or I'm going to rest my fingertips on the wall in front of me. And then, of course, to come out of the posture, I'll release my fingertips, straighten my front knee, grab a hold of that block with both of my hands. I can also use one of my hands to press against the wall. And then I will bring my feet back to a hip distance stance or big toes touching in my Tadasana, mountain pose. If you have been following along with any of my other videos demonstrating basic foundational yoga postures of the week, you will notice that one of the modifications that I offer is coming into the posture by use of a chair. So as I've mentioned before, the sky is the limit with modifications. I have already, of course, gone over a few modifications here. Such as using something to prop underneath of a raised heel on your back leg, and also the use of the wall and blocks. So this is yet another modification. I love using a chair as a prop to help modify me in postures. If you are a regular practitioner or if you have just started practicing yoga, and you find that you have a day that you're a little more wobbly than other days, your chair can be a really great friend on those days where you feel wobbly. Please do not let the wobbliness discourage you. I promise you, it's a different theme for a different day, always. So to come into this posture with your chair, So I'm going to start on the left side this time. So you're going to turn your left toes towards the short edge of the mat, step that right foot back, and once again, you're on your railroad track. So that automatically is going to help you some with stability. And you're going to turn your right shoulder and your right hip forward towards that short edge of the mat. And then inhale here, grow long in the spine. Keep your hands down for this modification. And then as you exhale, bend into that front knee, rest your hands on your chair. So if you're coming down all at the same time, you feel super wobbly, if you want to rest your hands beforehand or right away, that's a really great help to help keep the posture more stable here. And then, of course, if you're using your chair as a prop and you are practicing the pose regularly and you start to become more comfortable, perhaps then you can release your fingertips and float them up towards the sky. And then to come out of the posture, you're going to simply float your fingertips back down on the chair. So if you are, once again, new to this posture, you're feeling wobbly and unstable, that chair is going to be your friend. And then you're going to straighten your front leg and then turn all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat, keeping your left hand on your chair here, and then heel toeing your feet back towards center. So back towards your Tadasana mountain pose. And so same other side. So using the chair as a prop on the other side. You can absolutely do as I did on the other side. So I just immediately turn my left toes forward on the other side. So you can do that on this side with the right toes, or perhaps you come into it as we did the traditional way with no props, and you step your feet nice and wide. Let your shoulders be soft down your back. Tuck your tailbone up towards your belly button. Turn the right toes in the same direction as your chair. And then, of course, your left foot is going to be staggered just a little bit off to the left, and then heel toe that right foot a little bit over to the right. You've got your 45 to 60 degree angle on the back foot. And then you're turning your left shoulder, left hip forward and stacking your torso over your hips. Rest your hands on your chair. Breathe in deep. Breathe out through the crown of the head. Breath out. You're going to sink down into that right knee. So that front knee. And you've got your hands resting on the chair. So another great thing about using the chair as a prop, this is a great time where you don't have to worry about if you're looking down at your foot to see if you can see that big toe. You don't have to worry about wobbling so much and being so unstable because you've got your hands resting on the chair. And so perhaps you stay right here and close your eyes down and breathe into what you feel. Or perhaps you release your arms and let your fingertips glide up towards the sky. And then once again, breathing into what you feel here. And then, of course, to come out of the posture, you're going to let your fingertips rest down on the chair. And you're going to straighten your front leg, so moving nice and slow, keeping your right hand there for stability if necessary. Turning all 10 toes towards the long edge of the mat, and then heel toeing your feet back into a hip distance stance for your Tadasana mountain pose. Another modification with your chair is to actually come into your Virabhadrasana warrior one seated in a chair. So this is a great way to, especially for super wobbly folks or people who really just cannot stand up for any length of time at all. This is a great way to explore yoga postures. It's also great for folks who are interested in getting into a practice and they've never practiced before and they want to explore the postures with full support. So the chair can be a great way, or seated in a chair, coming into these postures can be a great way to do that sort of thing. And so, as always, I like to start on the right side. When I was standing and came into the posture, I started on the left side, just for something a little different. But I typically lean towards starting on the right side. So if you are coming into the posture on the right side and your right knee is going to be bent, you want to walk the right knee out to the side and then turn your hips towards the right and then step the left foot back behind you. So you kind of got to play around with where it's comfortable to have your bottom seated on your chair. For me, sometimes with doing stuff like this, I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit until it gets comfortable. So you always want to feel sensation and not pain. Always sensation in any yoga posture that you practice, never pain. And so from your seated position, you have your back foot at the 45 to 60 degree angle. And I always still have a tendency to stand on my railroad tracks, so my railroad track stance. So the right foot is off just a little bit to the right and left foot is off just a little bit to the left. That helps once again with squaring. And you're drawing that left shoulder, left hip forward. And then as you inhale, you're going to float your fingertips up towards the sky. Torso stacks over the hips. And then exhale, soften your shoulders down, and perhaps you close your eyes. So I absolutely love to come into postures when I'm practicing with my eyes closed because it gives me more of an introspective feel. It helps me to tune in to what's going on the inside. But you can always keep yours open if that's better for you. And then you just simply breathe into what you feel here. And then to come out of the posture, if your eyes are closed, you're slowly going to flutter them open. Circle your arms down. Let your fingertips float back down. Pressing your hands into your chair. And then you're just simply going to kind of come out the way you went in. So bending your left knee and then drawing yourself back to the center of your chair. And then come back to your seated Tadasana, mountain pose. And so same other side. So coming into your Week-Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 posture in a seated position, seated in your chair. On the left side, you're simply going to walk that bent left knee off to the left, turning your torso and the rest of your body to face towards the left, and then stepping your right foot out behind you. So coming into the railroad track stance once again. So that means your left foot is a little further out to the left and your right foot at the 45 to 60 degree angle is a little bit more out to the right. You're spinning the right shoulder, right hip forward, letting the torso stack over the hips, and then inhale, float your fingertips up towards the sky. Exhale, soften your shoulders down, and perhaps you feel into closing your eyes on the side. Perhaps you do not. You can always, it is your practice. You can always keep your eyes open here. Wherever you are in the pose, softening your face and jaw, and breathing into what you feel here. And of course, to come out of the posture, you will slowly flutter your eyes open. Let your hands fall down to rest on your chair on either side. Begin to slightly back your hips up just a little bit so you can turn forward to release back to your seated Tadasana, your seated mountain pose. Thank you so much for watching this video, hopefully in its entirety, for a rundown, a basic rundown of our foundational yoga posture, Week-Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 posture. If you like this content, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to my page for future updates with this sort of material. As always, I am open to any questions or comments, so please feel free to leave those in the comment section and or reach out to me personally. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a lovely day. Namaste.